Welcome to Final Fantasy XI Math. Today I will look into Limbus as it is now. Now they've already announced there will be bosses added at some point, so let me emphasize, this is just before the July update. If you come back in the future wanting to know about fighting the bosses, this is not the video for that, they don't exist yet. Instead I will go through the changes to old Limbus, now 100% dirtier without Cosmo cleans, and then I'll go through how the new Limbus works so far and some basic strategies I've experimented with. Some which worked, others not so much. So first, Old Limbus is gone. But it still has some decent items. So how do we get those? Well, you go to the Curio Moogle. Go to Equipment, and you can buy most of the old equipment. And then you go over to Scrolls and Materials, and you can buy Ancient Beast Coins and AF +1 mats. Now, I should mention, I did check, and if you upgrade AF to +1 before you reforge it, you save 5 REM chapters. And you can buy all the items now from the Curio Moogle except for one crafted item per upgrade. And so the total cost varies a little bit, but assuming you can find those items available, most of them are fairly common. A full upgrade will cost you usually under 150k, and then a 1 game day wait to save you those 5 REM chapters. To me, that's not worth it at all. But I could see some people benefiting from it. For example, if you're someone who's actually spending sparks on REM chapters, which please don't, there's way better ways of getting REM chapters, but I know some people who have. That's basically 75k a REM chapter. 75k times 5 is 375. You're saving over 225k upgrading the +1 first doing this. So it's not worth it for me, but for some people who don't know how to farm REM chapters, it could be worth upgrading to +1 now, since you can do it so easily. Now there's a few items missing from the equipment list though. See, there's a few items that you got from trading Ancient Beast Coins to the old Limbus NPC. And that still works, you just gotta buy the Ancient Beast Coins from the Curio Moogle now. So, yeah, you can still get those items that way. Now, just to highlight a few of the still useful items from old Limbus, ranging from actual best in slot items to just solid pickups you can use for a while, given the cost and how easy they are to obtain. Notably, a few are still sellable, and people have been making the mistake of paying way more than they need at the auction house for them. So, save yourself some gil, buy them from the Curio Moogle. Now, the first thing you may notice is these items were from before when they would actually tell us what the items did. So I'll have to tell you what the actual stats are on these items as we go through them. Okay, Brutal Earring. It's 5 double attack. And while most melee jobs these days have some better options for the equivalent of 75k, and the fact that it's all jobs, yeah, that's a pretty easy pickup for most people. You're going to find uses for it. It's still a pretty good earring, especially if you're trying to melee on like a non-melee job. Loquacious Earring, 2 fast cast. It's not a lot, but it's still one of the best fast cast earrings. It's all jobs. Definitely pick one up. NF Pants, 8 fast cast. It's still the best fast cast pants for most of these jobs, which is crazy. Potentia Sash, 5 dual wield. And combined with the 5 store TP, it ends up being one of the best dual wield ways in the game, especially for Ranger who can't use the Reiki Yotai. And it only costs you 30k. So if either you're on a job that can't use the Reiki Yotai or you don't have one yet, because that's a heck of a lot harder to get than 30k, this is a very easy pickup. The Shadir Pants, probably the best item here. It's the best bar element pants for anyone besides a white mage. And it's the best stone skin and best aquaveil pants for everyone. So yeah, it's like 2 extra charges on aquaveil, boosts up the amount stone skin absorbs by a decent amount. They throw some skill in there just for fun. Like, no, these are really good pants. Definitely pick them up. The Sortirius Earring. It's not like particularly good, especially for mage jobs. They really do have a lot better options. But if you need an MAB earring and you're not a mage, this isn't too far off from being your second best. Because remember, you got 2 earring slots to fill out. Like, Yeah, you get the free Omisi earring, but then what's the second maybe earring going to be? And you can get better than this, but for 30K, this isn't that far off. And it's kind of nice, it cancels out the plus enmity on the free Omisi. So until you get a better earring, this is just an easy pickup. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so here I'm just going to be playing some footage from a Limbus run while I run through some basics. You have no time restrictions inside. You're only limited by the 50K points per zone per week. And you even get to have any excess that you didn't collect roll over to the next week up to 100K. So you don't have to do it every single week if you don't want to. And honestly, I'm not even worrying about that cap. I'm not getting anywhere near it. I just don't have that much time to play these days. You're also limited by only being able to open the chest 5 times per week for each zone. Each zone has its own points, and the Apollyon points upgrades artifact gear, and the Tenemos points upgrades relic gear. Speak to the operators to set the level of the monsters between 119 and 130. Now, I wonder if they might change this at some point, because this is way more options than we need. Like, they could have just said, like, 119 and 130, maybe give us a 125 option if you really wanted, but I doubt anyone's really picking anything besides 130 and a handful of people picking 119. Because the level you choose determines the amount of points you're getting per clear, as well as, of course, the level of the monsters you're fighting. But that's not even that big of a difference between 119 and 130. The level of the monster is set by whoever aggroes or pulls it, and you really want everyone in your party to set the same level, or there's all kinds of annoying problems you can have. Now, because the level is adjusted on the pull, if you try to pull with a debuff, like, say, Silence, it is instantly removed, which is very annoying, especially since you gotta worry about links a lot. Now, when you enter, you can pick any floor and go. Once you enter a floor, a bar in the upper left-hand corner will appear. It will say what floor you are on, and it will fill up as you kill monsters. The number of kills you need to fill it is based on your party size and the floor you are on. Some floors just need more. When you fill up the bar, you get some points and a temporary item, which you will get back even if you zone. So, like, if you zone with the bar half full, the bar will get reset. But if you fill it up all the way and get your temp item, you can leave, come back, whatever. You'll still have that temp item. So that's really handy. You can just warp out after you fill up the bar, especially if you're planning to change jobs after a floor or whatever. Or you want to avoid certain true sight mobs blocking your exit, which several floors have. Now, once you've cleared a floor, you can keep clearing it as many times as you want, but you'll only get half points each time you fill up the bar until you get rid of that key item via opening the chest. Still, I think, especially over in Tenemos, where there's a lot more annoying floors, I could see just endlessly farming one camp becoming a legitimate strategy, especially since you get a decent number of exemplar points there too. So you could just farm your exemplar points that way while also capping out your points each week. Now, once you have a temp item for every single floor in the zone, so that means you went up every single wing, getting every single floor, then you can click on a chest found on the final floor of any wing, and you'll get 3K points. Well, except randomly you'll get 5K points instead, and we don't know why. It's only happened to me twice. It's pretty rare. It'll also raise the amount of points you can hold at once, and you can get some additional bonuses. The first chest you open in a zone will unlock the gear for that zone, so you'll be able to look at all the gear and start spending your points to upgrade it. The second chest you open in a particular zone will unlock that zone's buff. So Tenemos has a buff and Apollyon has a buff. Those buffs you'll have, once you unlock them, you'll have them in both zones, and you'll have them just forever. They slowly get stronger the more chests people open. So please keep opening chests, everyone. And then once you've unlocked both of the zone buffs, the next chest you open in either zone will give you the third and final zone buff. There is a question mark question mark spot that spawns roughly every 3 days, and the first time you click on it after it is moved, it gives you a free 3k points. Currently, the Tenemos one is extremely rare and potentially bugged, and Square Enix has already said they're changing something with it for the next update, so we'll see what they do with that. But even on a really low population server like I'm on, the Apollyon one is basically always somewhere. And it spawns where a specific mob dies. So please fight in safe spots, so when you randomly spawn the question mark, you're not making it a giant pain for everyone, please. If you're lucky, someone in your link shell will keep track of where it is, and even if you aren't really farming that much, you can run in and get a free 3k points every 3 days, which is nice. Okay, so some basic strategies. After you complete a floor, you can leave and come back, so you don't have to do all the floors on the same jobs. I have found my Ranger True Flight with Malaise is extremely effective for most floors, but some floors are strong to magic or have some other issues. So I've been experimenting with some other builds for those floors that may be more effective than just trying to do like Nagling Ranger on those floors instead. The monsters are kind of like locust mobs with AoE resistance and everything, but they also have 50 DT across the board. This makes strategies like Malaise True Flight, which regularly would hit well over the damage cap before, a bit more effective because you've got twice as much room before you hit the damage cap, because everyone's damage is being cut in half. The hybrids sadly eat the DT twice, so even though they also regularly went over 100k, they're a bit more disproportionately held back. However, they may still be able to be used some. Because similarly, the skill chains are also disproportionately nerfed, eating the DT from the weaker weapon skills and then eating it again on the actual skill chain damage. But it's still basically free damage, and there were a lot of ways to get your skill chain damage so ridiculously far beyond the damage cap that I've still managed to hit damage cap with skill chain. So that also gives some hope that, maybe we can get the hybrids to be good still too, but you are fighting an uphill battle there. Banish on Undead, as well as Tomahawk in general, can greatly reduce the 50 DT. The problem is, Banish 2 does not seem to land the debuff consistently. I found around a 1 in 3 proc rate using Bard sub White Mage. So then I tried Scholar sub White Mage, just to see if I could land it consistently, now that I would actually have a job with skill. And I still found only around a 1 in 3 proc rate, so it doesn't really seem to be a magic accuracy issue. Or maybe I need just a lot more even, but I mean, my Scholar has a really good magic accuracy set, and actually has, plenty of skills, so I don't know. Perhaps White Mage main, since they have Banish 3, perhaps that'll have an acceptable proc rate. But at least so far, it doesn't seem to be worth building strategy around, at least when duoing. Still, if you happen to have Banish, you may as well use it on the Undead. Get the occasional, very noticeable DT decrease. So like I said, I've primarily been using Malaise and True Flight, dual wing with a Ranger and Geo. And this works great for most of the floors, but there's a few issues. Basically, most of the demons take way less magic damage, and that's most of the mobs over in southwestern Apollyon. Also, Tenemos Eastern Tower has several floors with some major problems, with both mobs that take reduced magic damage and a lot of linking issues, so you kind of really want to bar it around. Most mobs aggro as you would think, including True Sight on the Taurus, although be careful with the Taurus, as they link the other demons in here. You've also got True Sight Imps, Corpse Lights, and Graws. Apollyon is pretty easy to get around, even with the increased number of True Sight mobs, because it's much more spread out. You just have a lot more room to maneuver. And the mobs are all distributed throughout, so even if you pull something you didn't mean to or whatever, it's not going to like link everything. You're just going to get like 1 or 2 more links. It's not that big of a problem. Over in Tenemos, all the mobs of a particular type are right next to each other. So when you pull one, you're very likely to pull them all if they link. And that's where I tend to focus on the mobs that don't link, just for that. Of course, people have different jobs and builds they can use. You're ultimately clearing trash without a time limit, so do what works for you. You know, don't stress if you're killing slower or faster or whatever. There's no time limit. Do whatever works for you. And you also gain a decent amount of exemplar points, so if you want, you can just kind of use it as your master leveling time and not worry about whether you're having the most efficient build or whatever. I'll just highlight a few of the Tenemos floors that I find kind of tricky with my setup, because, I mean, the Paulian floors are all basically the same, it doesn't really matter, but the Tenemos ones, there's a few that are kind of problematic. So the West, number 7, most will fight the Sahagins, but because I'm doing magic damage and they have a weapon skill that can block 100% of magic damage, it's not great for my setup. The Tonberry are an option, but of course they take reduced light damage. So I've been experimenting with just using wildfire spam, and it's been okay-ish. Might also just try doing a physical build for that floor. So the first east floor, I mean, there are mobs that aren't weak to magic there, but the problem is you've got Graws at the exit. And I don't really want to like warp out to avoid them, and especially with 2 characters, it's annoying trying to warp up with them attacking you. So I've kind of decided I'm just going to go physical for the entire eastern set of floors, because you'll see I've got problems on most of these floors. So here I am trying out Dragoon Subdancer, so then I've got Sneak and Invis, and since I'm doing that, I may as well try the old Nagling Kraken build that I haven't used in a while, and it's working pretty well to just clear out the Graws. Now the nice thing is with the Graws, they don't link, they just have True Sight, and they're annoying to fight for a few reasons. Now, the third eastern floor also has Graws blocking the exit, but here I did not switch jobs for this floor, so I'm on Ranger and just kind of having to deal with it. Usually, because of how the floor set up, I don't have to pull very many of them, but here it got a little messy. So here's East number 4, which has Graws near the start. But if you try to run past them, it can get ugly, as it did here. And again, I'm on Ranger, so I'm really not set up to fight Graws or their Urns, who also take reduced magic damage. So this did not go how I wanted it to, but we're making it work. Now here's Eastern number 6. This is probably the most annoying floor. So your options are, you got these pixies, you got the white pixies on the other side, and then there's Graws. But there isn't really a great spot to fight the Graws. You certainly can't fight them near the dark pixies here, because those have low HP aggro, so if you fight anywhere near them, you're in trouble. You could try to fight the ones near the white pixies, but you gotta be really careful, because if any of the pixies aggro, they're all linking. No, and the white pixies don't sleep, so to me the safest option is bring a bard, do the dark pixies. That's just what we're gonna do. Then you have Eastern number 7, which again have Graws at the exit. Now, since I'm on a melee job, and this will presumably be the last floor I'm doing on the melee job, I could do the urns instead, and then just warp out and avoid the Graws. That's also an option. Of course, in melee mode, it doesn't really matter which ones I fight, so whatever. And then finally there's the central 4th floor, which is usually the last floor I do. This is annoying because you got some Graws, but you can mostly avoid them if you're careful. But if you don't do it right, it can get pretty messy. And here you see I end up aggroing a few of them, but it doesn't go too badly. And then, of course, I love fighting the goblins on range here. The goblins take the most damage. So, yeah, it's doable. You just gotta be careful on a few of these floors. And I can certainly see... I think from now on, I'm just gonna... Whichever physical build I'm testing out at the moment, I'm probably just doing it for the entire Eastern tower. And possibly Western number 7. Well, anyways, I hope you found some of this helpful, at least. I like that Limbus is available when I am, and I can duo it effectively so far. I just don't have the schedule to do most of the other endgame activities right now, so being able to just fit in partial runs and slowly make progress is nice, and I get to also get my master levels at the same time, so... I know the rewards aren't as exciting as a lot of people wanted, but there's some good stuff in here, and it's nice to slowly get it. And I really look forward to the next update when they're adding the new gear to the porter mode. Anyways, have a good one. See you next time.